He's been to the protest camps, meaning the DAPL protest camps, 7 times. At one point, he was there for over a month on the ground doing some reporting. He's Jordan Sheridan with the Young Turks Network, and he joins us live now via Skype. Jordan, great to have you with us. Thank you so much for joining us, man. My big question to you is right now, obviously, you are off somewhere, wherever you live, and yet now is when the water protectors need help. They need coverage to say, hey, look, guys, this is a huge ecological problem that everyone was screaming about before because it's going to impact the water, and now you're not even here. Why are you not here?
I was actually just in East Chicago, Indiana, covering another lead crisis. I might be back there on the 22nd. But Chris, I find it very, very interesting. You and the governor and all these North Dakota folks, selective concern now about the water protectors, about the environment. It seems that this whole time, you know, a pipeline going under the longest river in America, no environmental concern at all. But now you're very worried about the camp cleanup.
Yeah, and do you want to know why?
Debris. No, I'm not finished. Excuse me. I was just there last week. There is no feces on the ground. You listed reports of feces. What reports are you speaking about? There's no feces on the ground. That's not factual, and you're lying to your audience.
Okay, so let's no. Hold on. Let's talk about facts. Excuse me, sir.
No feces.
One last comment.
Number two. The chaos and the hippie village you're talking about also doesn't exist. I was there last week. They're doing a fairly remarkable job of cleanup. I don't think you were there the last week. You seem to be reporting what the police and the governor tell you rather than being on the ground, seeing it for yourself.
Okay, since you are so omniscient, there's no sanitation system right now in a camp. Let's be crystal clear about that. And so where do you think people are going to the bathroom? You think that it's just magically floating away or what?
Again, since you're not there, you are, again, lying to your audience. They have compost toilets. I just used one last week. They have several compost toilets that the whole camp has been using, so your facts are wrong again.
Right, and that's going to go where if it floods?
They're clearing out of the camp. So
no, they're not. There's over 200 people at the camp right now that have over 200 abandoned vehicles. You call that clearing out?
Again, you're wrong. I just confirmed today they have literally 100 people left. And the governor, it was pouring out today. They've asked for a day or two extension, and the governor has not granted it. So you've already stated 3 things that are not factually true. So again, I was on the ground. You haven't been.
You were there a week ago. Excuse me, sir. You were there a week ago. So, yeah, so exactly.
Suddenly
I'd love to know where you're hearing from. I'd love to know where you're hearing there's 100 people. Let's go back, though, for a minute here, because now you're starting to say that, oh, Chris, all of a sudden you're governor and congressional delegation and you are so concerned about the environment. Where was that before? Here's the issue, sir, is that what you're talking about with a pipeline, especially this one that is going to have the most up-to-the-date technology, 92 feet below the river, let me remind you, what you guys are trying to say is pure speculation at this point. Can that happen? Does it happen? Yes. But what you guys are saying is pure speculation. The reality is that there are 200 vehicles sitting there right now abandoned that could end up in the river because, I don't know if you know this, but it floods here in this place, that could flood and then actually impact the river. That is the reality, not speculation.
Again, I was there. There's not 200 abandoned vehicles, but putting that aside, what I find interesting, speculation, there's data and then there's speculation. There are several companies that own this pipeline. One just had a pipeline explosion 2 weeks ago. Another one just leaked 600,000 gallons in Texas. Another one just had a leak in Ohio. So you're talking about speculation. Then there's the report that just came out that between Energy Transfer Partners and Sunoco Logistics, 69 spills, and that's just what they reported. We don't know what they didn't report because these pipelines like to talk about, oh, well, we don't like to discuss the small spills. And the other thing here is you're talking about state-of-the-art material. Well, was there state-of-the-art material used in the pipeline spill in Texas? Same exact company. Or the
same exact
pipeline
company,
explosion.
But if you do,
you're talking about speculation.
If you do the research, sir,
these are hard data facts. These are hard data facts.
Right. And if you do the research, do you know when those pipelines were built?
What's your point? That they're not brand new?
Exactly. Back in the 50s. So if you don't obviously maintain them correctly, you're going to have some issues. And again, you're saying that, hey, Chris, because one pipeline did X, that means that other pipeline's going to. And I'm assuming that you're talking about pipelines exploding because you're concerned about the health of the water, correct?
Well, no, the explosion just killed one of the workers in Louisiana. Secondly,
Oh, so
if
you're,
you
wait,
look,
wait. So now
if
you're
you look,
concerned about life and what happens with explosions?
I'm concerned about all life, whether it's workers or the people.
Okay, so then let me ask you this. So, well, hold on. Excuse me, sir. Excuse me. Hold on a second.
The Kalamazoo River spilled in 2010. It was the largest spill in American history. 12 people were reported dead as a result of that, and they had over 200 health issues as a result of that. This is going under the longest river. So who are you? Who is the governor to play God with the drinking water of not just Native Americans, but 18 million people? That seems a little common sense. Forget politics. Putting a gigantic pipeline, you're talking about that it's so deep under the ground. It doesn't matter how deep under the water it is if it spills. That goes downstream. You're jeopardizing 18 million people.
Right. So let's talk. Excuse me, sir.
It.
Excuse me, sir. Now let's talk common sense. And I know that you're a fair person. I get that from you. So let's talk about being fair, okay? You saw the explosion. Excuse me, sir.
You should state facts.
That's what I'm going to state. I'm going to talk about being fair, and I'm going to state you facts because you're talking about, hey, Chris, what about the drinking water? Remember what happened in Quebec? That explosion due to a rail car. The explosion here in Castleton. Fortunately, we didn't lose any lives here, but here's the reality, and you can go check the data on this, is that pipelines are the safest way to transport oil, and yet right now we've got hundreds of thousands of barrels of oil crossing right by the brand new Standing Rock Sioux Tribe water intake within 1.6 miles, which, oh yeah, by the way, could end up in the Missouri River, and yet, wow, no one's protesting that. That's the hypocrisy of this movement.
So because railroads are also unsafe, you want them to leave the protest camp right near the pipeline.
If I'm truly here, okay, wait a second. You said we're going to use common sense and reason. If I'm truly here to make a difference, to save lives and save water, why would I go protest the safest possible way to transport a commodity? Why wouldn't I be at the railroad 1.6 miles away from my water intake and protesting that? That's common sense.
Because if my house is in front of me on fire, I don't go down the block to look at houses.
Again,
that might
speculation.
be at risk.
It's not even built. The railroad's built and moving oil today.
Okay, so let's wait till after it spills, and then we'll worry about railroads.
More speculation. I can do climate change speculation with you all day long, but it doesn't really do anything to me today.
How is speculation? I've listed the numbers of the spills. How is that speculation? That's numbers. That's data.
Right, but those are old pipelines. Let me ask you this, sir, because we're running out of time. What would you like to see happen here? Because it's pretty evident with the Trump administration, this pipeline's going to get built. It's going to move oil. Where do you see this thing going from here?
Well, we haven't even gotten into the illegal behavior of the police because you in North Dakota are misinforming your audience that the police are following the law. I've been there 7 times. I've seen literally a police state and brutalization of unarmed people. But separately from that, the court needs to rule. It is my belief that this last-ditch case by Standing Rock Cheyenne River, it's very clear they did not finish this environmental impact study. By law, that has to happen. President Obama issued an environmental impact study. Trump just tossed it out. That's against the law. It's very clear that this whole time
you're lying to people.
There was no not enough consultation on this, and most importantly, this pipeline company cannot be left to simply drill. The judge said, "Oh, it's not a risk to you until the oil is flowing." Well, I think that's a weird standard. I think a judge needs to rule on this before the oil starts flowing. As you know, I've never heard of a judge or the government stopping an oil pipeline once the oil is flowing. So an expedited ruling needs to go. And I think for your children, my children, everybody's children, maybe put the pipeline somewhere else than the longest river in the United States that serves 18 million people.
But then
because when that spills, your little speculative talk and all this nonsense you're spewing, well, we have the video. It's not if it spills, it's when it spills.
See,
this pipeline
again,
company and
speculation.
other ones.
Let's talk facts here. The facts are you've got thousands of barrels of oil, hundreds of thousands, crossing a railroad right now over the river by their water intake. Jordan Sheridan, the Young Turks Network. Great to have you here. I love the debate. We look forward to having you back, especially if you get back on the ground at the No DAPL camps. We'd love to have you, okay?
I'd love to see you on the ground rather than just reporting propaganda.
You and I
get there.
Hey, easy. That is far from propaganda, especially with you throwing a bunch of speculation. All right, we will wrap up. I'll talk to Jordan offline.